When you think about your skeleton, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably this rigid, unchanging frame, right? Something that's just there. Well, what if I told you that couldn't be further from the truth? Because deep inside, your bones are hiding an incredible and very, very active secret.
So let's just ask the question straight up. Is that whole structure inside of you just a static scaffold? You know, like one of those plastic skeletons you see in a science classroom? Is it lifeless?
The answer is a huge no. It's not even close. In reality, your skeleton is more like a bustling 24/7 construction site that's constantly breaking itself down and rebuilding from the inside out. Get this, the process is so complete that you pretty much get an entirely new skeleton every 10 years or so. This whole process is called bone remodeling, and believe me, it's happening in you right now.
Okay, so how in the world does this all work? Well, to really get it, we need to meet the microscopic construction crew that's responsible for this constant renewal. Let's get to know the specialized cells that make it all happen.
This amazing team is officially called the Bone Remodeling Unit, or BMU for short. And it's not just one type of cell doing all the work. It's a whole coordinated group of them that basically travel through your skeleton, pinpointing old or damaged bone and swapping it out for new, stronger material.
And every good crew has its specialists, right? First up, you have the osteoclasts. These are your demolition team. They're big cells that are experts at breaking down and clearing away old bone. Then, following right behind them, you've got the osteoblasts, and you guessed it, they're the building team. Their job is to lay down fresh, new bone. One breaks down, the other builds up. It's a really perfect partnership. Now, this isn't just a chaotic free-for-all. Like any good construction project, this one follows a very specific, highly organized 4-step plan. So let's walk through the entire project lifecycle. And here it is, the roadmap for the whole process: activation, resorption, reversal, and formation. We're going to break each one of these down, but just seeing them all laid out like this shows you how structured and just methodical this whole biological process really is.
It all kicks off with activation. See, tucked away deep inside your bone are these mature cells called osteocytes. You can think of them as the project managers or the site sensors. When they detect tiny cracks from daily stress or just realize an area needs an upgrade, they send out chemical signals. It's basically the call to action for our construction crew to get to work. So, once that call goes out, the project moves into the resorption phase. The osteoclasts, our demolition crew, show up on site. They get right to work, releasing acid and enzymes that dissolve a small pit of old bone. This stage can take a few weeks, as they methodically clear out all the old material to make way for the new stuff.
Next up is the reversal phase. It's a super quick but absolutely critical transition. The demolition crew packs up and leaves, and a different set of cells comes in to do cleanup, getting rid of any debris and prepping a perfectly clean surface for the builders to start their work.
And finally, we get to formation. Now the osteoblasts, our builders, line up in that pit and start laying down this soft, protein-rich matrix called osteoid. Over several months, this osteoid hardens as it soaks up calcium and phosphate, forming strong, brand new bone that completely refills the hole. Job done.
This whole process is just incredible, but it only works if the demolition and construction crews are perfectly in sync. It's this delicate balance between breaking down and building up, resorption and formation, that is absolutely essential for your skeletal health.
Think about it like a bank account for your bones. In a healthy person, the amount of bone withdrawn by the demolition crew is perfectly matched by the amount deposited by the builders. The balance stays even, and your bones stay strong and healthy.
But what happens when that balance gets thrown off? Well, if resorption starts to outpace formation, more withdrawals than deposits, you start to get a net loss of bone mass. Over time, this is exactly what leads to conditions like osteoporosis, where bones become weaker and much more fragile.
So that begs the question, who or what is managing this entire system? What's the body's blueprint that keeps this incredibly complex process in check? Well, it turns out there are some very powerful regulators in charge of the whole operation.
There are really two main regulators calling the shots. First, you've got a whole system of hormones. Some hormones might tell your bones to release calcium if your body needs it elsewhere, while others, like estrogen and testosterone, help keep that building phase going strong. And second, and this is the part you can directly influence, is mechanical stress. Activities like walking, running, or lifting weights send a signal to your bones that basically says, hey, we need to be stronger here. And that stimulates the whole process to build denser, tougher bone exactly where you need it most.
So let's bring this all together.
Why does this constant, invisible cycle matter so much in our day-to-day lives? Well, because it's all about building your strength from the inside out.
Here's the bottom line. This process is constantly repairing tiny bits of microdamage that just happen from living your life, which prevents them from becoming serious fractures. It also lets your skeleton act as a mineral bank for things like calcium. So ultimately, it's maintaining both your physical strength and your body's overall metabolic balance. It's a huge deal.
You know, if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this simple idea. Your skeleton is not some static, lifeless object. It is a living, dynamic organ that is constantly renewing itself, adapting to the demands you place on it every single day.
And that really brings us to the power that you have in this whole story. Now that you know your bones respond to stress and need the right nutrients to rebuild, the final question is really for you. Through what you eat, through how you move, how are you going to help your skeleton rebuild today?